What's up, all you sexy, sexy horror fans? Pete here from the Lasser Cast with my equally sexy co-host, Dr. Zayas God, Danny Corkell. We are here to talk about It Welcome to Derry, episode 6. We've been thoroughly enjoying this show. It is building to a head. I think there's 2 more episodes left. Danny, in general, how did you feel about this most recent episode?
Uh, I mean, it was chocked full of, well, I don't want to say chocked full. It was one major reveal. Um, and I- I'm really enjoying what this show is doing. And I think I read that like Stephen King was interviewed and asked about the series, and he even said that he loves what the Muschiettis and Jason Fuchs, I think, the three showrunners. It's Andy and Barbara Muschietti and Jason Fuchs. Uh, what they're doing with the lore of this show and how they are expanding on his lore and his book, his 1,000-page book from uh 40 years ago. And I think what you got in this episode is a really interesting kind of wrinkle in the story. It kind of made me think of uh in like the Nightmare on Elm Street universe, there's always this idea of they did this a lot in like Dream Warriors and uh, they really do it up in Freddy versus Jason, even though that movie leaves much to be desired. The idea of Freddy Krueger can only get you in your sleep if you dream about him. So if you forget about him, or if you um, take a dream suppressing drug, you
Yeah.
won't dream, and then you'll forget about him, and thus he won't ever be able to get you. And then, in Freddy versus Jason, I'm going off on a crazy weird tangent to start. Why not?
Go ahead.
He basically employs Jason to attack the kids in his old stomping ground, which makes the entire town start to think about Freddy again, which suddenly gives him more power to come and haunt the children of Springwood. And that's kind of the idea that I got with Ingrid and her daddy, her papa, uh, Bill Pennywise, the clown.
Yeah.
Right? That's his name. It's like Bob.
I think it was Bob, yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
might be thinking Bill because Bill Skarsgård.
probably. But yeah, the idea that like she has been dressing as Pennywise, stalking these kids, uh, and going back decades, literally feeding children to her father. And I'm sure we will be finding out in the next 2 episodes how her father became a like an actual living figure of Pennywise the dancing clown, became a uh an avatar of the entity that we now refer to as Pennywise. But to take it back to my weird Freddy versus Jason in comparison, the idea that like she's keeping every time people in Derry start to forget about this horrible series of events that have happened historically, she's now keeping that alive and spreading the fear and like growing the legend of Pennywise. Um, and I really, that scene in the attic between her and Lily was so fucking creepy and tense. Um, and I really loved where that was going. And then it's at the exact same time that's happening, it's working uh, alongside the black spot, which you just know is going to end horribly.
Yep.
And so there's this like creepy tension of what's going to happen with Ingrid and Lily,
Right.
with with Pennywise. And then there's just this disturbing tension of, oh God, these fucking racist mob guys are going to show up and they're going to commit a just an awful hate crime, and it's probably going to end with Hank Rogan being lynched by this mob. And it's just it was just a really nasty hour of television, but in a very good way, like the way it should feel when you watch a show like this.
Yeah. You know, Danny, that's really interesting that you say it was a really nasty hour of television, because I felt like this episode had a lot of moments that were like, hey, look, things are actually going well for the main characters. There was a lot of like bonding and happy moments, especially at that spot, which is essentially like, I wonder how far they were into production of this show when Sinners came out. Because weren't you getting like a Sinners vibe from
Oh my
that point?
God. Yeah, I
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
expected when that kid took out his drumsticks, I was like, is he going to open up a portal to another world where we're going to
Yeah.
see like his Hispanic family, like history of music come out of it? Uh
Right, right.
really
But I
good,
mean,
really good
yeah,
call to the Sinners there.
right, right. And so I was gonna say that like that moment in itself almost felt like too surreal, where they're like, "Hey, elementary school kid, you want to play the drums in this like jazz session?" And he's like, "Sure." I was like, "Wait, something bad's gonna happen like real soon," because this it almost felt like dreamlike how good things were going for the main kids. Like it was this sort of like the breath of relief for them, where it's like, oh, nothing's horrible's happening right now in this moment, so let's enjoy this. And like, you know, there was a moment between wow, I can't remember either of the African American kids' names.
Will and Ronnie.
Yeah, like there's Will and Ronnie and her dad, and the dad is sort of like acting like, hey, it's okay for you guys to be together. I hope that you can be there for her if I'm gonna be gone, right? And there was this bonding moment between the girl that's got one eye and the Hispanic kid, and like it just seemed like a real pleasant episode for those characters. But then there's this whole fucking Madeline Stowe aspect of the show that is like creepy as hell. You know, like I wanted to kind of bring up a question that just popped into my mind like immediately watching this episode. Do you think that it's a bad choice to have like the white woman, the Schmeich woman, love interest of this, black character that's been framed, for her to be like directly connected to Pennywise? Do you think that that's maybe a bad choice, writing wise?
No, I think like most of the adults in Derry, they kind of walk a line of having questionable characteristics while maintaining a good face, you know. So I think that, you know, I didn't even realize that, like she said, she was married. I didn't realize that her husband is like the butcher that we met way back in like the first episode. And he seemed really nice to Charlotte, the black woman who walked in, Will's mom, and in a town where there's obviously a lot of racism. But then, like, he seems like an asshole at home and an unloving husband. So it makes sense that, like, she would, like, you know, have an affair, uh, and also, you know, want to kind of summon this evil event that happens. Uh, I will say, you mentioned creepy, like the creepiness of the Madeline Stowe parts. My biggest problem with, and I think we talked about this probably when we did maybe our first year we were doing this channel. We were talking about some Stephen King. Maybe I think we did maybe a comparison of all the It movies um, at some point, but I feel like we've talked about this a little bit before. But one of the reasons why, when I was 8 years old, Tim Curry's Pennywise scared the shit out of me and had me running out of the room crying is because I don't like clowns. I never, as a kid at the circus, I was crying. I wanted them to get away from me. I don't like, I've never had my face painted. I don't like them. And Tim Curry looked like a regular circus clown. And as good as Bill Skarsgård is as Pennywise, he is drawn and he is made up to look like a monster clown.
Right.
And so, and especially when he gets into like the I'm gonna go after you, then they go over the top with the CGI and the mouth opening wide. It's cool. I'm not complaining about it, but it never really scared me. The new Pennywise has never really scared me.
Mm.
Madeline Stowe dressing up in like 1940s clown garb, painting her face and wearing that freaking hair hat, just being on screen for like a few seconds was scary as fuck. Because
Okay.
that looked like an old timey clown. No special effects, no creepy voice, just scary old real clown. And I'm actually looking so forward to episode 7, where I think we're gonna get the backstory of how her father's like persona gets like taken over by the Pennywise entity, so that
Yeah.
Pennywise the dancing clown becomes one of the signature avatars of this entity. And I'm looking forward to seeing normal Bill Skarsgård like putting on the makeup and acting like Pennywise the dancing clown as like a normal human, because I think that weirdly will scare me more than his version of Pennywise that we've gotten over 2 movies and a few episodes of this show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny, right? Because like our show is called the Lasser Cast, right? And it's named after the Lasser glass from Oculus, and it's like a dark mirror. And that's kind of the way that I view the it entity, right? It's like a dark mirror. It kind of shows us our fears. Like it's like, oh, here's your fears right in front of your fucking face. It's like that thing from Harry Potter, the Boggart, right? I think maybe J.K. Rowling stole from, it. But I think that what you're getting at is that there's this clown. Bill Skarsgård's playing him. Madeline Stowe is the daughter. I think that maybe because she herself is perpetuating the Pennywise the Dancing Clown thing, it's like that's what's making it like a permanent fixture in Derry. Like he might have been involved in that like Easter massacre, that Easter fire that happened that killed all the kids. Like maybe he was there and there were stories about him, and that's why that kind of particular image has been used over and over again. But then her like dressing up like Pennywise and her like bringing the kids into this boiler room to be taken
Which,
out by.
which
Yeah,
also, I think that was where it got me to Freddy Krueger, was that like, and we've seen obviously, and this goes back to like the 1990 miniseries. We've seen boiler rooms play a role. Seth Green as Richie is like chased through the boiler room by the werewolf because he's afraid of werewolves. And but the way it was shot with the black and white, it was very Nightmare on Elm Street. And I love things like that. I love the style of this, where it was half black, mostly black and white, but then the bright red balloon,
yep.
and then the glowing yellow eyes. Uh, yeah, I think you know. We for the last month and a half, we were covering this show at the same time that we were covering Talamasca on AMC, and I
Yeah,
feel like we got an episode that we really wanted from Talamasca, and the problem was the show ended, and we were like, oh, come on, like this is what I was waiting for, and
yeah,
now the 6 episode series is over, And now I'm like left wanting to know if this is ever going to come back and be a part of this greater universe.
Right.
With it has been steadily good to great, and now
Right.
we're up to episode 6 out of 8, and I feel like we are hitting a stride of like,
Yep.
oh man, like this is right where I want it to be with 2 episodes to go, with like
Right.
2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours of television left. I am in exactly the place that I want to be with this show. I think I was actually talking to Chris about this last weekend, and we were talking about how we really like this show, and how, the question of like, was Bill Skarsgård not being on the show for the first 4 episodes, was that a good choice? And it was like, if he was on the show from the beginning, I feel like by this point we'd all be complaining, man, there's just too much Pennywise. It's like
Right.
repetitive. And that's weirdly kind of like what my complaint was about It Chapter 2, was that it was 2 hours and 35 minutes. It felt really long, and it felt repetitive. It was like, okay, there's six adults. Let's do the same exact story with each one of them 6 consecutive times, and then we'll bring them back together and we'll do the repeat of the first movie's ending. And it's like, okay, this show has balanced, I think, the Pennywise stuff perfectly. He's only been there for 2 episodes, and he's only had a few moments on screen to really like shine. And the entity itself has been scary in so many other ways. And there's so many compelling story arcs. Like, we're really just balancing right now the Lily and Ingrid storyline, where we find out that Ingrid is Pennywise's daughter and dressing as him and keeping that legend alive to scare children and feed children to her father, who is, a version of the entity. And obviously the scene in the black spot, where you have like this jovial party situation where it's all happy, but we also have what we know is going to happen there. But
Yeah.
then there's, this episode was very light on the military stuff, but that's still like a really interesting subplot, um, of, is the military going to somehow do something to capture the entity or trap the entity or use it as a weapon of war? Like, there's all these kind of hanging threads. There's the Native American subplot. There's there's a lot of characters that kind of exist on the periphery,
Yeah.
and I'm really just enjoying everything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's like right in the right spot. You and I have been covering shows for 5 years now, and one thing that you kind of complain about pretty consistently is like the pacing of a show. You're usually kind of like, oh, we're seeing the same thing, or like that's it, that's all they're giving us. And for like once, maybe out of all of our 5 years, it sounds like you're okay with the way that this is going, like the pacing of it. Um, I was thinking too while you were saying that I don't think the entity or it terrorizes anyone in the time of the story in this episode, right? We just have these flashbacks where there's like a little girl that gets brought to it, literally. But I don't think it terrorizes anyone in the time period of the story, this episode, right?
Uh, no, not this week. No.
Oh, wait. Does it do something to Lily in her classroom and she takes out the
Oh, yeah,
fucking
it does. It like becomes the pickle dad monster in her
pickle
desk.
dad? Yes. Okay. So I mean, it's kind of funny that itself is really funny, right? Because how many times has this girl done something like ridiculously dangerous and upsetting at school? As two guys that work in education, we're like, okay, so they found her in the school, and there's a girl who's got one eye missing now, and she's holding the blade in her hand. They found her like that. Now in this episode, she's got this giant, sharp, like ancient dagger in the middle of her classroom. Yeah, like okay, yeah, she'll just go to school the next day. It's all good, no problem. It's kind of ridiculous. Um, I'm just trying to think what else to cover because we kind of hit the beats pretty quickly right now in this review. I guess we could talk about Dick Halloran, right? Because there wasn't a lot of I mean, there wasn't any kind of direct explanation of what was in the box, right?
No, I mean, but we kind of know that in the box is like everything that you fear, and I don't know if again that's a hanging thread that maybe we'll get to in those last two episodes. I think
Yeah,
to the pacing of this show has been tremendous, and you're right that that is one of my bugaboos is pacing. But I think it's a variety of things. I think it's how many episodes are in a season and how many storylines do they have going? How many characters am I invested in? Um, we're going to talk about Stranger Things very soon. We're going to do a review of Stranger Things, episodes 1 through 4 of season 5, and that's a show that I think has uh, done very well, especially these 4 episodes, pacing the show out. I feel like each of those episodes built to something bigger in the next episode. I feel
yep,
that one of my biggest problems is that you have shows that they want to give you something big and then they want to pull it back and then they want to give you some, and it just when you're and that could be fine if you're watching a movie. Roger Corman famously had like a rule where it was like every 8 to 10 minutes there needs to be sex or or a kill.
right,
And like, so if I know that in 10 to 20 minutes something big is going to happen, I'm cool with it. If I'm watching something continuously, if I'm only getting 45 to 60 minutes a week and the entire episode is building to me coming back 6 days later and watching it again, then I start to get checked out. I feel like that's happened to me with Yellow Jackets at times. That that actually didn't happen with Alien Earth. I feel like until the finale, where
yeah,
I felt like the finale was maybe the least impressive episode of the season.
right, right.
Um, but yeah, I think this show's just on a really great trajectory right now, and I'm so excited. Like Sunday, I didn't get a chance to watch this Sunday, and then Monday night, I took Charlotte to a Sunday night. I got home very late. I actually got to meet John Cusack. My yeah, my sister and I treated my mother for her holiday present.
Okay,
Um, we John Cusack was coming to the King's Theater in Brooklyn. The King's Theater in Brooklyn does these events where they get a celebrity to come, they screen a movie, and then they do a Q&A with them on stage. So
yeah,
we splurged for the meet and greet tickets, um, and we sat like second row. We watched Say Anything, which is one of my mother's favorite movies. It's a phenomenal
huh.
80s comedy. And then we got to meet John Cusack. So I didn't get home Sunday night when it is on until late. Monday night, I took Charlotte for her birthday to see Heathers on Broadway, which
Nice.
was amazing. Great show. Horror adjacent, especially
Yeah,
Charlotte and I are going to watch the movie on Amazon Prime.
nice.
And so I didn't even get a chance to start watching it until Tuesday. And then I was so out of it Tuesday night, I fell asleep and I had to finish it yesterday. And I was like, man, I hate that it took me 3 days because I got some of the stuff spoiled for me
Um,
just by
yeah,
like going on
yeah,
YouTube and seeing
yeah,
like the title cards of other YouTube videos. Like, I can't believe Ingrid is Pennywise's daughter, and I'm like, I can't believe that either. Shit. and
Right.
and
Oh man, that sucks.
but I will say it made it so that I'm like, the next 2 Sundays I'm gonna be in front of the TV at like 9:30 at night, because I want to bang these episodes out right away so I don't get them spoiled for me. Because this has been one of my favorite horror shows, or just shows that I've watched of the year.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be tough when we make our top 10 list for the year because you'd want to put something like this on it, but we usually stick to just movies. I think it's kind of cheating when you start to throw a show on there.
Yeah,
But
I mean, rules are made to be broken, but who knows? We have time to think about that.
yes, but we don't have a ton of time to record both these episodes. So, is there anything else that you wanted to say about this episode? I kind of feel like we knocked it all out real quick.
I feel like we did. You want me to just do the what do we got coming up?
Why don't you knock it out and then we can go do some Stranger Things?
All right. Well, you just said it. We have Stranger Things episodes 1 through 4 that will be up on the channel probably the day after you watch this. We covered all 6 episodes of the Talamasca. We are covering, obviously, this show. Last night I had another late night out. My friends who I play trivia with, Jared, who runs the Puppet Master Castle Freaks podcast, and John Tarani, they hosted Dennis Paoli, the screenwriter of Reanimator, From Beyond, and Castle Freak, and they hosted a 30th anniversary screening of Stuart Gordon's Castle Freak at the Nighthawk Williamsburg. I recorded 20 minutes of their Q&A with Dennis Paoli, who's one of the just coolest guys. I've gotten to meet him a couple times now at these types of events. And it was awesome. So you can look forward to that Q&A up on the channel. And yeah, Charlotte and I are going to see Five Nights at Freddy's 2 probably tomorrow. So you could look forward to probably a short review from me. And if I could wrangle Charlotte in front of my phone for 15 minutes, probably a review from the two of us.
Nice, man. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, as you guys can see, Danny is pretty active, man. He's just always going to movie things in Brooklyn, and they're usually connected to, Stuart Gordon for some reason, and that's awesome though. And Ted Gagin, right? But yeah, guys, if you like listening to us talk about horror stuff, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Give us a like too. What do you think about this most recent episode of It Welcome to Derry? Let us know. We're gonna go record our Stranger Things episode, and we will see you guys. Your favorite pickle dads will be back